Welcome to Collecting Chaos. My name is James, and today I've decided to take up Comic Collector Geeks Challenge. This time it's on annuals. So I got to thinking, why don't I look up annuals? So I went to Google, typed in, what was the first comic book annual? And I was shocked by the answer. They answered that it was Fantastic Four Annual #1 from 1963. Okay, this shocked me a lot because Superman Annual #1 came out in 1960, over a full year before the release of Fantastic Four #1. If the Superman Annual #1 came out in 1960 and the Batman Annual came out in June of 1961 and Fantastic Four didn't come out till November 1961, how can the Fantastic Four Annual that came out 3 years later be the first superhero annual? That's not what I asked. I said, what was the first comic book annual? So I had to do a little more research. And I found out. The first comic that said annual on the cover was Roy Rogers Annual by Wilson, published by Wilson in Canada. That doesn't count. I'm in America. So we're going to go with the first annual comic published in America. And everybody's going to say, oh, well, that's easy. It's Superman #1, right? Superman Annual. No, that's not it. The answer is Archie Annual #1 from 1950. And the reason I'm saying that is because it was published every year as an annual for 25 years. The last one published in 1975. I don't have a copy of that, or I'd show it to you. Now, I did want, as soon as I saw the challenge was going to be annuals, I wanted to show my Superman Annual #1. But Comic Collector Geek showed that. And I don't want to show the same thing he showed. So I picked out something different. Like I said, there's Superman Annual #1. There was Batman Annual, came out in 1961. Lois Lane Annual #1 came out in 1963. And Superboy Annual 1963. And I believe Flash had an annual in 1963. That was it, as far as I could find out. There might be more, but I got tired of doing the research. So what did I decide to show? There was an annual, Superman Annual scheduled to be #9. And it was advertised, Superman Annual #9. And it was released as 80-page giant #1. Because DC Comics decided they're not going to publish annuals in the normal sense. And they really never did, because they came out twice a year. An annual comic that comes out twice a year. Okay, that's fine. June and January or something like that. So they did away with all their annuals and they came out with the 80-page giant. And that was his first Superman 80-page giant, which is #1, and it would have been Superman Annual #9. The next one they were going to publish was a Jimmy Olsen Annual #1, which was never published because it was 80-page giant #2. And then they would have done a Lois Lane, I think #4. I think there were 3 of the actual Lois Lane annuals. I don't have a #1. I do have a #2. But I'm not sure where it is. I looked in my Lois Lane stuff, I couldn't find it. So it's probably filed under L, and I didn't feel like looking at it. But 80-page giant #3 was Lois Lane. And yeah, the wind is blowing hard enough that we're getting whistling. So if you hear whistling, that's what that's about. And then there was a Flash annual schedule we published, and that was 80-page giant #4. And there was a Batman annual scheduled to be published, and that would have been 80-page giant number 5. And they continued the numbering and rotating them back around and round and round up until, because number 6 was Superman, I believe number 7 was Lois Lane or Jimmy Olsen, and then on and on and on. And that went to number 15, and with number 16, they changed it so that it was part of the regular series with the G number in addition to the regular series number. So G16, I think, was the Superman comic. And they eventually added in World's Finest and Our Army at War. And there was another one. I can't think of what the other one was, but there was another one as well. And so that's pretty much the history of that. And that's why I'm counting all of these as annuals, even though they're all 80-page giants. So what's the next annual version? Another DC. I've got a lot of DC annuals. This one is Warlord number 1. Warlord annual number 1. Now, why did I put this one in there? Mike Grell. I don't need any other reason than Mike Grell. It's a beautiful cover by Mike Grell. So, yeah, that's why that's in there. Let's go back to 80-page giants for a minute. Do you realize there was never a G number on any Wonder Woman comic? In fact, there was never a Wonder Woman annual until 1988 when they relaunched the Wonder Woman series. How about that? Now, I don't know where my Wonder Woman annual number 1 is. I know I have a copy somewhere, but I don't know where it is. I'm not going to look for it. I did run across my favorite Wonder Woman annual cover, though. And that's this one, number 6, by John Byrne. And this was part of their Pulp Heroes theme they did that year. Love this cover. It's just one of my favorite annual covers of all time. So far, all I've shown is DC. Marvel people are getting a little antsy. Sorry, Marvel people. I collect DC comics. I don't have a Fantastic Four annual. I don't have a Spider-Man annual. I don't have a Hulk annual or any of those. I don't have them. But the next one I show you is not going to be a DC annual. I looked and looked and looked for other annuals besides DC, and I found one. Grim Fairy Tales annual from 2020. Gorgeous cover. For modern comics, this is my favorite publisher. The stories are 90% of the time, well, actually, I'm going to say 100% of the stories that I have read, I have enjoyed, and the writing was good. And the artwork is always phenomenal. So, still no Marvel Comics. I told you, I don't collect Marvel Comics. Well, I do have a Daredevil annual number 1, but again, that's already been shown, and I don't want to show the same thing somebody else showed. So, I have a Marvel comic. This is one of my favorite covers for Marvel annuals. It's not my favorite, but it's in the top 5 or 6. X-Men annual number 6. I absolutely love this cover. It's awesome. And that leaves one comic left. One lone comic left. One to hit number 10. And it's a key issue. It's a key comic. It's from 1985. And it's X-Men Annual number 9. Another one that I absolutely love. Art Adams and Walt Simonson doing a cover together. Yeah, I can dig it. So there you go. That's my 10. And I did have another one, but I put it away. I had pulled out a ROM annual number 1 just so I'd have a Marvel comic. And then I found the 2 X-Men comic annuals that I liked better. So I decided to show those instead of the one ROM and another DC. Take care, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this. We'll see you next time, and have a great weekend. And if you're feeling kind of, you know, yeah, like, subscribe, do all the YouTube things. And if you're feeling generous, I have a link to buy me a coffee down in the description down below. Take care, everybody. Bye.